course, but we stand no chance. You know that it always ends like this. Try and change the course, but we stand no chance. You know that it always ends like this. Lost the light and yet I keep pressing on, finding comfort in my own abyss. Asphyxiate under my memories, the ones you couldn't keep from me. When everything is designed to end.
Arrivederci. Oh. Oh, Jesus Christ. Whale. Don't know what that was. So, Elden Ring Night Rain drops Friday, May 30th. I can't stream for long, but in the mornings, because I have to get to bed because I work nights. So the plan is to stream for a couple hours today. If I need to stream for a couple hours tomorrow, and then stream for a couple of hours Friday. Um, to beat this final boss. Jesus. Okay. Fuck me. I don't know. So that's essentially what we're gonna do. We're gonna try and just put our head down and see what we can accomplish. Yeah, I don't know what I want to use. I don't know. But I figure we can just try, and see where we get with it. You know. I really have to be aggressive at the beginning. I think I want the hammer. I really have to be aggressive in the beginning, though. Just because, like, the faster I can get rid of these guys, the better. So it's kind of like a good. You can get into a good rhythm, if I can do it, where you like kill all three just as like the next three are spawning in, because I think they all start spawning in whenever. Spawning. We're doing pretty good with these spawns. I should do it first try. Let him up. I wonder, what's the spawn for the Ivory King? Is it smarter just to kill this guy immediately? Well, I guess I get it. I wonder, I got scared last time I ran away, but I'm gonna try and like nuke whoever comes out of here. Because it seems to spawn in about the same time. I did get an RG, like Burn Ivory King just ran straight at them. Yeah, like that. That's good. That's good. Bankrolled. I wasn't on my fucking heels. I wasn't on my heels, but that wasn't too bad. If I get lucky and have, if I can get lucky and have the soldier, there was one time he the fourth Liam Moist Knight was like at full health for that fight, and I was like, holy shit. Should have been the one, but I woofed the dodge. If you watched yesterday's episode, I was a little crazy. Maybe regret's not the right word. I don't think I necessarily regret what I said. Maybe just the way I delivered it. It's just frustrating because this game has, to me, what appears to be such obvious flaws on the surface, and it's so painful to like. It's like so painful to play. Where's my guy at? Hit him again. Now. Hit him again. Oh my god. I swear I hit these buttons. I don't know if my controller's kind of getting rough or what. But like, something's going on here. log fest. Everyone's attacking. Oh, they're trying. Ooh, 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 ooh. That was scary. That plan would have worked pretty well if, well, if I didn't wolf the dodge, obviously, but. Please fucking fuck off. For the love of God, what are you doing? Get the fuck away. Get the fuck away. Nice. Okay. Clean. Clean, 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 clean. Amber. It's actually like pretty good. I really don't want to be fighting him back there with like all that shit going on. It'd be hilarious if he jumped off. Come on, fuck him up for me. Fuck him up for me. Fuck him up for me. He's buffing. He's buffing. Fuck him up. What are you gonna do? Oh my god. Oh my god. God damn it. I literally couldn't move. Like, is there a specific window I'm looking for that heal? Because it's not like I'm taking... It's not like I'm getting hit and just immediately healing. Like, I'm dodging his combo. I'm getting behind him. The same strat I used for Fume Knight and Sir Alon. Or Alone, whatever the fuck you say. I'm using the same strat where I get behind them because that was the best way to heal with those two guys. You had to be behind them in order to heal, because if you weren't behind them, they were, I don't know how hard coded they were programmed to like input read and like stop you from healing, but basically they would queue up for an attack very quickly after the they would queue up for an attack pretty quickly. God damn it. That was a bad heal, whatever. But yeah, it like they would key up pretty quickly after the after their combo. Like I would dodge their combo, and as soon as I finished my last dodge of their combo, I'd press the button to heal. If I was in front of them, they would whack me in time to cancel the heal out and often kill me. So what I realized for both those fights was like, if I'm going to heal, I have to heal behind them. That strat actually worked really well for Fume Knight. I was actually able to I don't know what the fucking term is for it, but basically I beat Fume Knight without him transitioning to his second phase. I one-cycled him, I guess is what you'd say, maybe. But yeah, Fume Knight was in Sir Alon the same, well, for Sir Alon didn't really have a second phase that I remember. He has that buff sometimes, but not like a full second phase. I wish there was a thing to make one accent stronger. Oh my god, dude. I don't know. I'm trying to be aggressive, and it was working out earlier, but usually these dudes will attack and then they back up, and it's so annoying. The behavior is so annoying because like they'll attack you, and usually in that window is when you you avoid their attack and then you counter. But if you take too long to avoid the counter, they'll always jump back, and then instead of attacking again, they just kind of wait around, which is annoying because then you'll have like 2 to 3 different enemies just chilling there, waiting around, and it's really annoying with the spacing. But usually, like, I can kind of almost one cycle this first dude. You know what I mean? Like he attacked and then he stopped. Here he comes. See? He jumps back. Yep. Get that good. Good. This is like really good. Dude, these guys are being hella fucking aggressive right now. Even the mages being, the pyromancers being hella fucking aggressive. Usually he's not this fucking aggressive. Come on, someone. Anyone. Oh my god, dude, the fucking combo. Combo. Yeah, probably that. Okay, he's doing it right now. Cool. Don't have to worry about that. That was a pretty good cycle. If you're like strategically aggressive, you can really fucking punish them pretty hardcore. Also, it takes forever for the Burnt Ivory King to come out of the old chaos or whatever he's coming out of, this portal. This Oblivion Gate. I always wait till he slashes his sword a little bit. You'll see it right here. And there he goes. Then I buff. I don't know why. I just wait because that's usually when he starts running out plenty of time to do my thing. I'm buffing. Look at him. He turned immediately. He's like, no thank you. It's like right there. I was able to heal there. Oh, that was huge. That was huge. Gary back on his left side. Damn, one heal again. I can't get to him. Oh my god, no, 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 no. Am I healing still? I'm dead. I'm dead. Oh, I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. Please turn around. Please turn around. Please ignore me. Oh, I'm dead. I'm dead. Oh no, I'm alive. I'm alive. I don't know. I want to heal again. He's like once behind me. He's dead. He's dead. Oh, it's over. Alas. Alas, it's over. It's fucking done. Sort of addressing. I don't want to say addressing. I'm not. Everyone's fucking raged out before when playing these games. Um,
You've now.
did she give you anything?
Kind. For my tale.
Must be based on how many souls I have, is what it is. I think like the 5, 10, 15, and 20, you get so many. I think the great thing about like a soul level 1 run is that like there's a baseline for these games, right? That's why there's no difficulty selection, right? Not like a traditional difficulty selection where you start up a new game and it says, what difficulty do you like? Easy, medium, hard, story mode, nightmare, hellish mode, like permadeath mode. There's no traditional difficulty setting. You just hit start game, you build your character, and then you're thrown into the world. And there's lots and lots of variables in each of these Soulsborne games, and every Souls-like really, that don't have a difficulty mode, that like make the games easier or harder. And traditionally, for someone's first playthrough, they go through, they level up, they try out different weapons, they find a weapon they like, they level it up. Maybe they trade the weapon out if they're having a tough time with the boss, or they try a different weapon. But for the most part, that's like they go through. If they need, they grind or they look up hints, stuff like that. They thoroughly explore areas, and that's like a traditional playthrough. You know what I mean? And as you're playing your first playthrough, your traditional playthrough, you might come up to a boss, depending on what game it is. Like let's say you're playing Dark Souls 1 and you go through and you're like, you beat O and S, and you didn't even realize there was an optional boss known as the Moonlight Butterfly, and you're like, what the fuck is that? and then you go and tackle the Moonlight Butterfly, and you like one shot it or something, or it's not like something crazy along those lines. Like you just wipe it out pretty quickly. Like that would be um, an example of like how a normal playthrough could, just unfold. You know what I mean? Some bosses you could really struggle with. Some bosses you might fight out of order, like some type of an order, to where it's like super easy. You know what I mean? And everyone has different struggles for certain bosses. There are some people that are like, it took me 50 tries to beat Capra Demon, and someone else is like, oh, it took me like 5 tries. Like I just had to get past the dogs, and once I got to the stairs, it was just rinse and repeat. It was just the tough part was getting to the stairs. That initial volley of attacks. Um, but like there's a base experience, right? You know what I mean? Like you don't know what someone's stats are going to be when they reach a certain boss, right? Like um, you might be level uh, 20 fighting Taurus Demon or whatever, or you might be level 30 fighting Margit. Another guy might be level 14 fighting Taurus Demon, or level 50 fighting Margit, whatever, you know what I mean? Um, but there's like certain characteristics of these games, and I think it's mostly tied to like two things, right? Um, you know, every combat encounter involves essentially these three things. You try to avoid damage, you try to attack and deal damage, and if you fail at avoiding damage, you try to heal. And that's all a boss is, right? You're avoiding damage, you're dealing damage, or you're trying to heal. You're trying to keep yourself alive to continue to avoid damage and deal damage. The fact that for Dark Souls 2, we had Demon Souls and we had Dark Souls 1, and we had this mechanic that was like, okay, the more equipment you have, the heavier and weightier your character is. So your character is going to um, your character is going to um, if you're at the lightest equip load, your character rolls really fast and they roll far. If you're at a medium equip load, it's not too bad, but it's still pretty far. Also, just for the shot there.
There until
I'm loving my ADP. I don't care. I want to do this so long. Hear that. I think everyone's stat should beat this for SL1 run. And ADP should be right there. It's Dark Souls 2, so it's a little bit faster. What is it? 99 for 105, or what do you have somewhere? Okay. 1 of 99 is 12. And then 105 is 13. Yeah. Oh, it's over. I do that because I don't want to have to think about it. So I actually have 110 right now, which is 14. I actually kind of will that now. Almost. But anyway, I think there's like a base game that everyone gets to play with, right? Like if I'm light rolling and you're light rolling, we're getting the same iframes. We're having the same experience. If if you know you're doing whatever, you know, so be it. Cool. I wish I had kept it at 10. That's not accurate. It should be accurate. Where did I keep it at? Where did I put it at?
Bearer until
It's 23. But
Thank you, Kai.
yeah, I think there's like a base experience that everyone gets to partake in and do, you know? And I think for like, for these games, after you've played them for so long and you've beaten them so many times, you start trying to think of ways to like implement harder challenges, right? You might be like, well, I've never really been good with like, maybe you're like a sword and board guy, like you always use big shields and big swords or whatever, you know. And you're like in heavy armor and you have crazy vigor and endurance. You're like, maybe you know, no shield. I want to do like a dex, you know what I mean? And then like you get really good at that. You get good at two-handing your weapon and just dodging everything. And then you're like, well, let's try magic. I've never done magic before. You know what I mean? Maybe try glass cannon build. But I think eventually what happens is you realize that like you eventually get good at those things because you still have like a safety net. You know what I mean? You're still leveling up. You're still able to wear certain armor based on what your endurance is or vitality or whatever the stat is. And you can use really good gear. You can use really decked out gear. So I think what the SL1 challenge does is that it removes it's kind of like a cool thing and a bad thing at the same time. On one hand, it's like very relaxing to be like, I don't have to worry about losing my souls. You know what I mean? Like if I lose them, like it's no big deal. I can't level up with them anyway. I could have bought resources with them, like arrows or other healing items, or you know, just other items. But it's kind of like that that thing, you know. So
What? No. Name's Ben Hart. If we shoot, I'll repeat the road ahead. Aye, it's a true, I swear. Aye, it's a true man who honours his. I swear it.
but yeah, I think the SL1 challenge is it's like the ultimate challenge for like Souls vets, people that have played these games for years on end that are finally ready for the challenge. And the cool thing is, if you've played Demon Souls and the Dark Souls trilogy and Bloodborne and Sekiro and now you've played and beat Elden Ring, right? Elden Ring is a pretty formidable challenge. And if you're not sure if you want to tackle the SL1 challenge, going back and tackling the older games first, I think, is a really good way to almost kind of relive and re-experience the series again as a whole. You know, fighting through Boletaria, and dealing with those enemies at SL1 is a very, very different experience than going through at max level or whatever. You know what I mean? It's a very different experience. You know, going doing doing Dark Souls 1 and going through Lordran at SL1. You know, this is my third SL1 playthrough, and it's such a stark. It's just such a different experience, right? Like I said, on one hand, you don't worry about losing souls, you know, but on the other hand, you worry about so many other things. And normally, the great thing about death is like the penalty isn't that crazy. You know what I mean? In Demon Souls, most people play in soul form anyway. They're playing with only half health. They don't care. You know? And so even if you're not in human form, it's not that big a deal. You're still going to keep 75% of your health. Which I don't. Do you? I think upon every boss defeat, you go back to human form. I believe so. It's very similar to Dark Souls 3. Or I guess Dark Souls 3 did that. In one shot these dudes. Oh, I did. You get down here? What are you doing? You know, in Dark Souls 1, there's no penalty at all. You just can't summon if you're not in human form, you know? And most people, I'd imagine, would save their humanities anyway just to increase the amount of flask they get for the bonfire, you know, to kindle the bonfire. So, what's this guy doing? He's just like walking. He's just like going around. He's just going. But Dark Souls 2 takes it back to the Demon Souls way, you know, where it's like you lose a little percent each time, down to 50, I believe, and then. But and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And there's a ring that mitigates it, just like in Demon Souls. And in Dark Souls 2, you get 4 ring slots. So instead of half your ring slots being dedicated to a ring to give you 25% of your health back, of your total health, you only lose 3. You only lose 1 ring slot. You still have 3 other ring slots to use for your character in Dark Souls 2. but there are other factors at play that make it annoying in Dark Souls 2, more annoying than the other games, right? You know, having your iframes be attached to a stat you can level up, having the speed at which your character uses healing items or just uses items in general. Um, so that's, you know, all very, I don't know. I don't think it's a good system. Um, and there's something weird with the movement. I can't pinpoint what it is. And it's I think it's supposed to be kind of like this neat effect, like, oh, like there's a dragon emerging from this place and the ground shaking, or like in the Burnt Ivory King fight, the portal for the Burnt Ivory King starts rising up from the depths of the old chaos, and like it's shaking the ground, and you're like your character moves slower because like the ground is literally shaking. Like that's kind of like a cool feature. That's not like necessarily a bad thing. Like that's neat. Um, but it's one of those things where it's just like, man, like, stop. But unfortunately, with Dark Souls 2, you know, I don't know if they thought like there's so many new systems in place that like the game could be easily broken, so they had to do other things. I don't know what the thought process was for a lot of these choices, you know. Like I said, I don't know why they came to the decisions that they came to. Because if you're thinking about it, Dark Souls 2 is the third Souls game, right? In the unofficial quadrilogy, it's an official trilogy. You know, it's a sequel in a trilogy, but it's the unofficial third game in a quadrilogy. And for this game, like, and you know, it's a sequel to a spiritual sequel, so it has to do certain things. Like, it's not just getting to make its own oats. It's not getting to just do whatever it wants. Like, you know, we look at Demon Souls to Dark Souls 1. You know, there was a lot more freedom there. And then we look at when we look at, you know, Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 2, well, now there's an expectation, right? Demon Souls to Dark Souls 1, you know, outside of like, oh, this is going to be like the next Souls game, you know, this is going to be his spiritual successor, you know, what, Devotee Scarlet, who are you? Summoning Shade. I have no clue why you're here, but sure, you can come hang out for a bit. Get him. Okay. Let you do that. That's how it's done. GG, Scarlet, GG. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, going from, you know, when you look at like Demon Souls to Dark Souls 1, you know, there's probably some expectation of like, oh, we want like a really hard, difficult journey that that doesn't explain much. You know, it's very just, you do what you want. Alright, come funny that like they still put the fog wall there though. But they changed so many fundamental
Transient.
things.
You may be rejoice. Do my who gods?
Oh shit, I'm gonna say yes.
Do you receive?
Yeah, I'll join the Blue Sentinels.
You are no longer a mere proud. Wear this, then listen. This I'll proud. Pursue your work.
But when you look at Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 2, now we have expectations, like more hard-coded expectations. You know, we know some things are going to change. You know, when you look at sequels, you don't want the same thing, but you want there to be a certain carryover for systems and mechanics. You know, if Dark Souls 2 was like a fucking on the rails shooter, and you can only use bows or something, you know what I mean? Or if they took the series like what they're like, you know, the Age of Dark was ushered in for a millennia, and then like thousands, you know, millions of years in the future, you know, Gwyn came back as Cyber Gwen, and the Chosen Undead is now, you know what I mean? Like if they changed it so drastically, be like, okay, what's going on? Like this isn't even the same game anymore. What are you doing? But then you look at the it's beautiful. So you know you don't want to release the same game twice, obviously, but there's a certain level of expectation of what people are expecting to get for this game, you know, and I think they strayed a little too far. I think if they played it a little closer to home, it wouldn't be that nearly as big of a deal, but they didn't. But when I talk about like that base experience, you know what I mean? Like the best thing that Dark Souls 1 did, right, was in my opinion, at least, was the Estus Flask system. Because I think that's at the heart of it. That's what these games are about. Is like trying something over and over again and having this wall. You know. I think that's why these games got rid of. I think that's why Dark Souls 1, you know, maybe the design philosophy, you know, maybe the interviews at the time or what Miyazaki has said doesn't back me up, but I feel like he realized, like, the game doesn't have to impose severe penalties to a person in order for it to be challenging. You know what I mean? We can elicit a challenge, and clearly, I think the series as a whole is evidence of this, right? Because if Miyazaki thought you had to impose these penalties to people, because right now, if we look at Elden Ring, there's only one penalty for dying. Two at most, you could say. But really, there's only one penalty for dying. And the other penalty, I wouldn't even say it's a penalty. It's just a natural effect of doing this. But if I'm in a boss fight and I die, two things happen. Every item I used that was a consumable item is gone forever. I used it in conjunction of trying to defeat that boss, and since I didn't defeat the boss, it's almost kind of like the item was wasted. Now, obviously, not really, you know. I just didn't. I didn't succeed in my challenge. You know? We have a free branch bet you are. I don't. Guess I'll go try to find one. But yeah, I think if you look at the series as a whole, to me it paints a pretty clear picture, right? That like, I think I think Miyazaki realized like, hey, we can make this challenging in a different way. We're gonna construct a really solid system that the challenge is going to be inherently the fights. That's going to be the challenging part. And I also think that's probably the reason why. Ooh, we're missing some textures here, buddy. But I love that it's lit up like this. Ouch. I wonder why sometimes, I don't know what the rule is for the stagger. You get fucking decked. I don't know. I don't know if I talk to that guy now. I probably did talk to him. But when we're, I think that's what became of the philosophy, right? We're not going to impose all these extra challenges on people, And that philosophy started with Dark Souls 1. They said, listen, I don't think we need to take half of the player's health every time they die, right? But I think Miyazaki also realized, hey, this is a really genius system, right? There's two states your character can be in at any given time. Not the same state. They can't be in both states at once. One state is
Very well.
is essentially the undead state, and then the other state is the I'm alive state. You know what I mean? We don't have either of these rings.
The forces of it is ISIS source. You scroll, but the never. The forces it is ISIS. You scroll, but the never for young pupil.
Yeah, I think, and that's a genius system too. Is that like your character in Dark Souls 1 starts out in this undead state. You know what I mean? He's not looking too good, and so that character has to. Ooh, they look a little weird. Oh, they're just like lit up a little bit. This is funny. How does this look? So when you're in the undead state, you know what I mean? Oh, don't backstab me. When you're in the undead state, you can't summon help, right? But since you can't summon help, you also can't be invaded. So it's like it's a perk, it's a bonus. Like, hey, we won't let people invade your world and make your life hell as is, because we've already imposed this penalty on you, which is you cannot be you can't summon right now, for boss fights or for help through a level while you're in this state. But on the flip side, right, you can be summoned. So if you're having a tough time, with a fight, you can offer your assistance to other players, and if you succeed, you'll not only get a covenant reward if you're in a covenant, but you'll also be given an effigy. So it's like, oh great, this is the item I need to rekindle, or to restore my humanity. So you restore your humanity. You're no longer undead. Technically, you don't look undead anymore. And now you can summon people. You can summon help, but you can also be invaded. So that's the trade-off. You know what I mean? You either can't summon, but you can't be invaded, or you can summon and you can be invaded. I don't know if you can be summoned. You can summon, can be invaded. You can't summon, you can't be invaded. I don't know if when you're in human form, if you're able to, if you're able to. I don't know if you're in human form. Can you be summoned still, or is that strictly an undead thing? I'm not sure. You would think that it wouldn't be a strict undead thing because it's just you're just offering assistance. But it might be the case that they don't let you. I'm not sure. But either way, you know that I like that the way that system worked. You know, if you didn't want to engage with the online play in terms of being invaded, you could do that while also still being able to see messages from other players, to see bloodstains. So the other players can assist you in that way, in that sort of non-direct way. But aside from assisting you in that non-direct way, that's about all they can do. And then, you know, we go from that to we go from, you know, that system in place, you know, all the system in place, to such drastic changes in Dark Souls 2. And I just don't know what the thought process is behind some of those changes. I can't understand why. You know, I love the system of if you are unable to summon, you're unable to be invaded. I like that system. If you can't receive help, you can't be hindered by the. If you can't, if other players can't help you, other players can't hinder you as well. I like that system. Oh my God, Pursuer still alive? Or did I fucking? I don't know. I don't know if he's still alive or. He's gonna disappear. He's gonna disappear. Kill dogs. Did I never kill this pursuer? I feel like I killed a bunch of them. Or killed all of them. Maybe I upgraded this bonfire. I don't know. Let me knock this guy down. But anywho, yeah, they just changed so many systems, right? And if they kept a larger portion of the mechanics already set in place through Dark Souls 1, you know, maybe people have said they didn't take enough risk. Maybe the game wouldn't have been. Did I ever get this key? You know, maybe people have said that they didn't take enough risk, but I mean, for all the changes they did make, I feel like it's a huge quality or quantity thing. Like they made a ton of changes to the core mechanics of these games. So I'm just very confused as to why they thought like. How's that my fault? It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? It doesn't track that. It doesn't track to me that that they would change so many things. You know what I mean? Like, I understand not wanting to play it too safe and being afraid of doing that, but I also think they kind of played it a little too willy nilly. You know what I mean? I think they just put a little bit too much out there. I think they could have afforded to do a little bit, you know. I think they could have been a little more safe with it and done a little bit more. And no one really would have cared that much. I don't think anyone would really. Oh. 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 But yeah, something about it just feels very, to me, it feels very weird. Um, I just I can't see why they wouldn't want to, I don't know, I can't see why they wouldn't, what's it gonna do if I, I don't know. Because the changes that they, like, some of the changes they did make was really cool. You know, the idea of, like, upgrading a bonfire to a higher New Game Plus level that's a pretty unique idea. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's kind of unique, kind of cool. I think that's a kind of cool idea. You know, saying that, hey, like, this bonfire is now plus is in New Game Plus, while the rest of the area isn't. You know, that's kind of a cool idea. And you can't do that unless you've already beaten the boss. So it's not like you can really abuse it and go to like a higher game and be like, well, I'm gonna have to beat the boss, you know, this time or whatever. You know what I mean? So I kind of like that. Power stancing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure it was the case when you're playing Demon's Souls and Dark Souls 1, you're like, man, why can't I wield two swords and get a moveset that's kind of unique and cool? You know, why am I stuck with this moveset? And then... Oh god. Reluctant someone. Cheap viewers. I'm good, buddy. Thanks, though. Ugh. But just some of those changes, I don't get it. You know what I mean? I could see them trying to update the way that the player controlled the character. Maybe they thought like, hey, this isn't like very good. We think we can do it better. Like that's fine. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing if they think like, ah, it's a little wonky. But like, why are you changing? Why are you making dodge rolls a stat you have to level? Like, why is that all of a sudden a thing you think is a good requirement? You know? Why is it all of a sudden that when I'm in the undead form, I can still be invaded? it's not even like, you know, well, like you can only be invaded, you know, up until you hit that 50% threshold. Once you're at that threshold, like you can no longer you can't be invaded anymore. It's like that's not even the case. Like you could have all your, you know, you could have the max penalty and still be invaded. Is this guy gonna come? Kill this guy, right? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I kill them all. Might be conflating playthroughs. You know why did they decide to make durability such a huge, just so absurdly overtuned? You know, like your durability in this game just drains, depending on what weapon you use. And in the previous game, there was like two really cool mechanics that I loved about the durability that I thought was the best way that they did it. The first one being that, like, hey, there are special weapons with special abilities. If you use that special ability, you will use that special ability. It's going to wear on the durability of the weapon. The weapon can't withstand you using that ability that much, right? And then you had crystal weapons. Crystal weapons were really, really powerful versions of weapons as an infusion, but it severely limited the durability, or lowered the durability of a weapon. And once the weapon broke, it could not be repaired.
Oh.
And I don't think you can repair it either, right? Wasn't that the trade-off? Like, they couldn't be repaired, and once they're broke, they're done. They can't be fixed. So it's like you can get this super powered weapon, but it's like a one and done. You know, you use it and you're done. You know, so you could you know, you could essentially get a bunch of weapons to this crystal status and just, you know, farm for the resources and have a bunch of crystal weapons on hand to use and get really high damage with them if you want to. And that was a good system, I thought, you know. And then as you're playing the game, bonfires didn't fix your durability like they do in Dark Souls 2. Instead, you would have instead, every once in a while, you either have to go get it repaired at a blacksmith, or if you have the repair toolkit, you could do it yourself at a bonfire. But you would be traveling and adventuring for hours on end through Dark Souls 1, you know, fighting your way through, not even thinking about it, and then all of a sudden, it would say, your weapon is at risk of being broken. You're like, why? Durability is a thing in this game? I didn't even know. And then you go and you check it out, and you're like, oh shit, like, look at that number. That number says 12 out of 60. Like, oh shit, I am losing durability. What the fuck? And then you go to a blacksmith. You're like, well, who would repair it? A blacksmith would probably repair it, you know? And you repair it. And it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But it was a cool thing, because, like, you could go hours on end. You know, I spent 6 hours fighting, Manus, collectively between, like, running to the boss fight and everything else. But it was 6 hours total. And it got to the point, where I was, like, in the middle of one of my attempts fighting Manus, and all of a sudden my weapon is saying, like, hey, at risk of being broken. I'm like, what the fuck? Seriously? And sure as shit, it was at risk of being broken. But it didn't really matter that much. Ooh. It didn't really matter because, you know, repairing it wasn't that huge of a deal. but it was a nice thing. Like you felt like your weapons kind of went on a journey with you. You know what I mean? And eventually you would see that journey. It's pissed. You would see that journey. Oh god. I wasn't paying attention. You know, you could feel that journey, in my opinion, through the wear and tear of your gear. You would eventually be like, oh shit, like there is some wear and tear going on. And to me, that was really cool. It was cool getting to see that. To me, it was cool getting to see that effect take place. You know, like wow, this is something I never thought about before. You know, but now, you know, I've had boss fights where literally I'll be in the middle of the fight and my weapon's like threatening to break. I'm like, in the middle of the fight? Like, I was fighting Ava with my hand axe. I believe it was my hand axe. And I was literally watching the boss's health bar go down and my axe's durability go down like simultaneously, like side by side. I'm just like, there's no way. Is this really gonna like? Is this gonna like break mid-fight? I don't think I ended up using a different weapon anyway to fight Ava with, but it was just crazy. It's like a weapon's durability not even surviving for like a boss battle. You know, like a single. Like I can understand like. You know, maybe they wanted to tune it, you know, make durability matter a little bit more, and so they're like, you know, some weapons, you know, are going to be better than others, but at the same time, it's just like, a boss battle? Really? I think you guys should die when you go. Roll, 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 roll. I don't know. I think it's crazy. But you know, like I said, I just don't know why durability became such a joke of a stat. To me, it's just like it should at the very least like last me a little bit. You know what I mean? Like it should last a little ways. You know, if it's not gonna last just for long enough to get through a boss fight, you know, like that's just I don't know. To me, that's crazy. I think durability is a little, you know, like I said. In raw reality, if someone's like, well, how would you do it? I would just get rid of durability. I don't care about it. I don't think it's that important. I don't think it's adding to the game that much. Like. I don't know, like, in Dark Souls 1 it was kind of cool because it felt like you could see, like, the length of your journey. You're like, wow, this sword's been with me since the beginning. And, like, now the durability is starting to fail. Like, that's kind of cool, you know? But, like, outside of that niche, like, I'm just like, I don't really care. At least me, personally. Maybe other people will be like, well, I do care. I'm like, yeah, cool. But for me, it wasn't something that, like, I desperately needed or wanted. Didn't really do much for me, you know? But,
If you bigger.
but, like I said, durability feels way overtuned. I thought it worked just fine for what it was doing in the first game. Um, but if they were like, oh, should we keep it or get rid of it? Just get rid of it. I don't care about it at all. It's nothing to me. Did I reset this area? I feel like I've been through this whole area and I got all this stuff. Maybe I did reset it. If I reset it, why is the pursuer not coming? Maybe I came back through and killed the pursuer. I don't know. Maybe I did come to this area. Maybe I killed the pursuer and that's all I did. The dog's happening on me right now. Flee. Do I not have that ready? Yeah, see? I don't know. I don't know. But, like I said, I don't like the way they did the adaptability with the iframes. I thought that was dumb. I don't like the way they did the durability. You know, I just not a fan of it, me personally. And then when you look at what are the odds of me landing on that ledge and not fucking dying? I need to land like I need to roll at an angle. Whew. I feel like, oh no, I got it. Oh, you have to drop me down again. Surely I'm not gonna die here. Just like right. What else? Like I said, the movement feels weird for some reason. I don't know why. The way they handled the two-handing of weapons, I thought that was pretty cool. That's a unique thing that they did. I like that a lot. A plus. It is funny when people attribute like stuff in Elden Ring to Dark Souls 2. And it's like, yeah, you know what? We neither one of us have evidence that Elden Ring would have had power stancing, dual wielding, without if Dark Souls 2 hadn't done it first, right? But they didn't even do it the same way. But it's just like something that like Elden Ring or Dark Souls 2 gets the credit for. Like technically, it's like okay. But you know, for all the stuff that Dark Souls 2 did that Elden Ring chose not to continue with, they're like, well, let's just not talk about that. What are you gonna do? Leave me alone. Attacking me. Let me out of here. Juke him. Juke him. Juke him. Juke him. Juke him. Juke him. Oh, motherfucker. Also, the way they handle the stamina bar. It's funny if you compare the two Soulsborne games released side by side, Dark Souls 2 and Bloodborne, because Bloodborne has the smallest stamina bar in the world, and like you use an action, it's just like microscopic. And then if you look at Dark Souls 2, it's like, oh my god, that's a lot of stamina for a tiny little poke. It's just, I think the stamina cost for actions is a little off kilter, in my opinion. What do I know though? What do I know though, you know? What else that I think Dark Souls 2 ultimately got wrong?
Wait.
Oh.
Wait.
I was like, did I kill you for your helmet? But I finished his quest line and he just gave me the helmet naturally. I'm really conflating these two different playthroughs I have going on. They're fucking me up pretty badly. Yeah, I think stamina cost is too crazy. The durability cost, the rate at which the durability of your weapon decreases is too high. iframes, the speed at which you use items, all that being tied to a stat that you level up is pretty bad. Another thing that they changed that unfortunately one of the many, oh no, sorry, one of, I don't say many because it doesn't have many sins. It has very, very few. But one of the sins that Dark Souls 3 commits is that it follows up this idea that that Dark Souls 2 did. In Dark Souls and Demon Souls, you had a stat called endurance, and this stat would level up not only your stamina and give you more, increase your stamina bar, but also give you higher equip load. And for whatever reason, Dark Souls 2 said, nope, stamina is only upgraded via the stamina is only upgraded via the vitality stat, or sorry, stamina is upgraded via endurance, but your equip load is now upgraded explicitly via the vitality stat. And it's like, okay, and for whatever reason, Dark Souls 3 decided to keep this. I hate that. I think it's fucking dumb. I think it's bad. And luckily, this is a change that did not survive beyond Did that guy fall? Did he really fall? In space. Oh. He almost fucked me up. I guess I'll talk about the positives that Dark Souls 2 did. I think Dark Souls 2 started the trend. We were already seeing it in Dark Souls 1. I'm not going to sit there and attribute it to Dark Souls 2 and be like, Dark Souls 2 did it. But I think we started seeing the trend heavily in Dark Souls 1. Or we started seeing in Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2 push that trend.
You need armor.
Where there's not really gimmick fights anymore. There's...
Are you sure?
There's like... There's these types of fights where... Sorry, I'm trying to think.
Thanks.
There's fights where there's like maybe a specific like niche type of thing, like Lost Center, you can light the things, Flexile Sentry, you have the Rising Water. But for the most part, they're, learn the boss's pattern, fight the boss, kill the boss, done. Rinse and repeat. You know what I mean? There's really not much more to it than that. And then for
There.
and then for oh my god, I can't think. Okay. What was I saying? Fuck me. I'm super tired. I've been working all night. I'm about to end the stream anyway. But anywho's. So was it endurance? Was I talking about the endurance, the stamina thing? Or no, I said I was going to talk about the good things that Dark Souls 2 had done. And then, what was the first thing I was going to talk about? Fuck me. Hold on, let me think for a second. I'm brain broken. Or maybe I'll touch up on it again as we go through it, but so Dark Souls 2, cool things that Dark Souls 2 did. Oh, the fucking fights. Goddamn. Okay. So I think the boss fights in Dark Souls 2 are very much just like, I don't think there's really any puzzle fights. I'm trying to think if there's any really puzzle fights. Where like there's a specific mechanic, but I really don't think so. And even then, like the old bosses, I don't know if I'd say they're puzzle bosses, right? Like when I think of a puzzle boss, like the only boss I could say that's like a puzzle boss maybe is like maybe Ancient Wyvern from Dark Souls 3, but like every boss, like even the gimmick bosses from Dark Demon Souls, they're just gimmicks. Like, hey, you're fighting Tower Knight. You don't do a lot of damage to his legs. You have to keep attacking his legs and he'll fall down. Then you deal damage to his head. And maybe you want to deal with those archers because if you don't, they're gonna be raining down arrows on you. Like, is that really like to me when I think puzzle, like, you could say it's a puzzle in the sense that like you could say it's a puzzle in the sense that like well, you had to figure that out, but I don't know. I don't really know. To me, the Demon Souls fights were very formulaic. It's kind of like the old boss fights you'd experience playing like a platformer action game. You know what I mean? Action adventure where it's like the boss does these moves, he dodges these moves, and then the boss like goes into like this state where he's not attacking you. Then you attack him once, and then like the boss loses health, and then the boss goes back to attacking, usually a little bit faster the second time. He dodges moves. Okay, he's letting you attack him again. Bam, you attack him. Okay, the boss is attacking you. He's doing his moves. They're really fast now. You got to really be on your game. Okay, now you can attack him. You attack him the third time, the boss loses. You know what I mean? Like you could say like maybe that's what Demon Souls was for some of the fights. Like maybe Armor Spider, like you run up to it, you deal attacks, and then you start seeing the oil pour down. You have to run away. You see the oil pour on the ground. You run away. He sets everything on fire. Then you got to run back to him. You know what I mean? But like those are kind of more gimmicky than puzzles. I don't know, but I think for Dark Souls 2, it very much just embraced like, hey, here are the bosses. Fight the bosses. Good luck. Go, my son, and fight these bosses. You know. And like I said, we started seeing that. And when I say fight the bosses, I mean bosses that just like have challenging movesets. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anyone looks at a Silent Demon and thinks like, "Cool, that's a challenging moveset." There's probably like a handful of bosses from Dark Souls 1 that have like challenging movesets. But Dark Souls 2, there are like Pursuer has a fairly complex moveset. Not like complex like Elden Ring complex, but like compared to like Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1, like that's like even like comparing Pursuer to like Penetrator, like a Pursuer has a pretty complex moveset. And once you know that moveset, you know, I remember the first time fighting Pursuer, and I was just like, I can't beat this guy. I can't figure out, I can't do it. And so I learned to parry him and use the ballista. That was my first kill on Pursuer. I never learned how to dodge his moves. Oh, but now, just because I suck at parrying in Dark Souls 2, I'm so used to the Dark Souls 1 parry. It was much easier for me just to learn the moves. And now I can fight Pursuer like nothing. It's like, it's cake, you know? And then, looking at like, fucking there's several bosses I think in Dark Souls 2 that have pretty cool move sets. You know what I mean? Um, that you know, but I've always said that I feel like the the thing that hurts Dark Souls 2 is like the floaty weird, like if you're locked on, it feels like you strafe super duper slow. So it feels like it incentivizes you or decentivizes you to lock on. Like it rather says like, hey, don't lock on. It's actually way harder to do this if you're locked on. Um, which if you're playing on PS3, I don't know how you do this. I know on PS4 you can manually change the controls for like your PS4 controller, and you can do the same thing for PS5. It's an accessibility thing, and so literally I just go in and oh my god, look at all these guys. Oh my god, that guy's got fucking. Ooh. So I'd always switch L1 and circle. Um, so it wasn't too bad. I was already for all these games I switch L1 and circle so I can roll and then still have maintain control of the camera while rolling just by pressing L1. Because circle is just your left-handed weapon attack, which before Dark Souls 2 there really wasn't a need for it, you know, power stancing. It's just raising your shield, and if you're raising your shield, you're probably locked on anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. So using the camera, like I was already kind of used to this anyway. But traditionally I do like, even though I switch L1 to circle, or my dodge and my sprint to L1, I still would much rather just lock on the fight and then like I don't have to worry about it. It's just one less thing I have to worry about. You know what I mean? And I know my attacks are going to hit true as long as I'm close enough. But
It's why just
so yeah, I think the issue with the bosses though, being that they're a little bit more complex, is that you're trying to you're not only trying to, you know, you have this new stat adaptability that dictates how many iframes you get. On top of, depending on your equip load, it depends on how far you roll. And then on top of that, the the character feels weird and floaty. It doesn't feel. It feels different for some reason, for whatever reason. And so I think those are like compounding issues that make this game feel harder than, in my opinion, what it should be. Because it's like, you know, why it should be. It should feel like butter playing this game. You know what I mean? Like if they're making everything that much harder, like it should just feel great to play this game. And it does a lot of times it doesn't. It feels like my character is running underwater. It's like I'm playing an underwater Mario level. You know, it's slow as is when I'm running around, and then if I'm locked on, it's even slower. And then
I with it in such dark shadow and in such
um, so I think those are compounding issues that make it feel not as good, in my opinion, at least. And then Okay, what was I saying? Yeah, I think that's like it just doesn't feel good to play. That feels like it's another self-imposed difficulty thing where it's like it shouldn't be this hard to play the game. I gotta be careful because I fucking updated this. So ooh, oh, okay, moving on. I mean, as much as I thought it would. Oh my god, what the hell are you? What the hell are you? Oh, what the hell? What the hell are you? Fuck. ESPN my ass. Or EP. Wait, it's not ESPN, that's the fucking sports station. Any Hootersville. Come on, dude, it's like slow and steady. Give me one. Something that also did well, in my opinion. Ooh, this was like one shot I made before. I don't know why it's. Maybe I just, do this. A little more health. So I like how they did the bosses, and some of the bosses are really good, especially the DLC bosses. Going into Sin, I was like deathly terrified. I was like, Sin's gonna be impossible. Like, I don't think I can do Sin. He has like hitboxes the size of he has hitboxes the size of golf clubs. I'm like, I can't do Sin. And then I fucking did him. Go there. Here. Whoa. Oh my god. The fact that I'm still alive is a miracle. Oh my god, Jesus Christ. Ew. What the fuck hit me? There are only 2 super cities left. Super Earth is failing. RIP. I'm just saying, if I was the president of Super Earth, it wouldn't be failing, is all I'm saying. Whew. There's a fucking red fan or something around here. Okay. Reinforcement budget has been reduced by 2 indefinitely. York Supreme is gone. Listen, who cares about York Supreme? As long as my fucking Mount Mama's still there, could not care less. Could not care less. Oh, there she is. Oh, fuck. Run. Run, bitch, run. Oh, no. Jesus. West Virginia has fallen. Sir, Mount Olympus has fallen. Olympus has fallen. So, back to the good things it did. I do think it has some cool bosses. There does feel like there's a little bit of a quality versus quantity issue, but I'd say for the most part, like, pretty good job, you know. I think solid effort. Some of the bosses are kind of dumb, but some are kind of unique. You know, I think the Chariot's kind of a cool fight. Even the Last Giant's like a really cool first boss fight. Like, if you compare the Last Giant to like Dark Souls 1 or even Demon Souls, I think the Last Giant's pretty awesome. For me, I'm a big quality of life person. Like, the game has to have a good quality of life. If it doesn't, then I kind of write it off. Yeah. Whoa. Oh. Yeah. Okay. I don't want to say I write it off, but it definitely hurts the enjoyment of the game for me. Kill this motherfucker. And kill this fucking person. Don't have these fucking souls attacking me. Okay. And then this will take this person back here where I know it's safe and we'll fight him. Power stancing was a cool idea. I like power stancing a lot. I thought that was really neat. Good idea. What else? Oh Jesus. Oh god. She's gonna heal, I'm gonna heal. Oh, you idiot. You should have healed. Should have healed. Power stancing is a really cool idea. It is annoying when Dark Souls 2 fans attribute just about anything other than did Dark Souls 2. It's like, well, Dark Souls 2 had power stancing. It's like, well, it doesn't even work the same way. Dark Souls 2, you have to have 1.5 times the max stat of whichever weapon has the highest stat requirement in order to power stance those weapons. In Elden Ring, all you need is it's locked, but whatever. The way they did infusions, which is almost remnant to how it ended up being in Elden Ring, it's very freeing in this game. They're basically just like, hey, you want to fucking... And in this game, you can infuse anything. It doesn't matter if it's a special weapon or what. It can be infused. I don't think there's any weapon that can't be infused in Dark Souls 2. I could be wrong. Everything's infusable. Fucking infuse it if you want. What else? 4 ring slots is dope. That's pretty cool. Like I said, if Dark Souls 2 didn't have iframes attached to the adaptability stat, if it was instead just attached to your equip load, and then if Dark Souls 2 also changed the way durability worked, it's like a little bit overtuned. I think it's crazy. And then if it also if you're getting rid of adaptability, like make your flask drink a certain speed, and the flask should be instantaneous. It should not be this weird thing where it's like it happens slowly. It should be, I drink my flask and my health goes up. If you want the life gem to be a slow heal, that's fine, but like I should have one healing item that works traditionally, like it did in Dark Souls 1, you know? And they almost had it right. Healing should be fast with flask. Yes, healing should be fast. Like I said, the life gem, and I don't even hate the life gem system. It's a little bit busted, because you can have fucking 99 of them, you know? And they stack. So if you're like, if you want to, you can just stack a bunch of these, and the restorative efforts are stacking, and now you can just go in and start welling away on a boss or enemy or whatever, and they can well away on you, and as long as you're not getting knocked out of your animation due to poise, you're fine. So if they fixed the flask drink, if they got rid of the your iframes being tied to adaptability versus equip load, if they changed or got rid of durability, because I think durability is fucking stupid anyway, those changes alone would make this game incredibly better. there's an annoying thing that occurs where if you're on weird ground, your character walks a little bit slower. That's annoying. And then I feel like your character moves a little bit too slow when you're locked on. The strafing is super slow. You know, if I feel like the option should be there if I want to strafe or not strafe. But if they implemented those changes alone, I wouldn't even care if you lost 50% of your health slowly. I think that's kind of a cool thing. I think it's cool that you slowly lose you slowly go hollow. That's kind of like a cool thing. Because you get the Ring of Binding and it only reduces by 25%, so it doesn't really matter. But all in all, also this is New Game Plus 2. I just wanted to show you New Game Plus 2 before I end the stream. And I'll say they did New Game Plus 2 right. They did New Game Plus 2 right. Because in New Game Plus 2, there's a bunch of like significant changes. I don't know if significant is the right word, but there's like meaningful changes. Like when you load up in the game, look at there's 1, 2, 3 I can see right now, but there's more. There's like at least 2 or 3 more. And these guys have fucking eagles. I don't even know why. The eagles hurt you. They can send the eagles after you. I don't know what happens when I die. I don't know where I go. But like, this is kind of cool. It's almost like revisiting the Undead Asylum in Dark Souls 1, and like everything's tougher and harder. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, it's kind of cool. I like it. Like, this is just such a weird change. Like, why did they put this here? I don't know. But like, they put this here. They put these guys here, just hanging out. Don't know why, but they're just here now. They're blocking it. To me, it's kind of like it's like they're sent out by like someone to prevent. I don't know who the Falconers. Like, this is the Falconer armor. I don't know who this belongs to. And I don't even hate necessarily that these guys shoot where you're gonna be versus where you are. I hate that the arrow curves in midair. The arrow should not curve. Okay? Sure, make it to where these guys shoot where you're gonna be, not where you are, but like, it should not curve. Also, look at these. 2 of these guys. Why? Don't know. But it's fun. It's wonky. I don't know why Dark Souls 2 did it. But it's cool that Dark Souls 2 did it, you know? That up there is the same. But it's kind of cool. It's kind of unique. It's interesting. It's different, you know? So I think Dark Souls 2 did a really good job with New Game Plus. I do like that. And I don't think it happens in Dark Souls 1. So Dark Souls 2 is the first one that did it as well. Dark Souls 3 continued the tradition. I don't even know if it's this way in Elden Ring. Do you get only certain rings in Elden Ring, like plus versions of rings in New Game Plus? Or is it all in base game? I really don't know. I don't know. But like, look at this. You run out here, first thing you see, a dude just standing up there, a fucking red phantom. It's like, it's funny. It's like, what's that guy doing here? You know what I mean? Like, what's even in these areas? And the fog doors, I hate the fog doors. Give me iframes on fog doors and opening chests. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus. I do think it's funny though, whenever whenever you exit whenever you beat a boss and the fog door lifts, like, all of a sudden just a bunch of enemies pour out. I think that's funny. I think it's funny that they all pour in and they're just like, haha, motherfucker. That's like a funny thing. I like that. I think that's funny. Good job, Dark Souls 2. Good job. I don't even think the fragrant branches of yore are like a bad idea. or the Ferris Lockstones. Like they're like it's a unique way to do a key. It's not just a traditional key. You know, I do wish they should have flip flopped it though. But they probably did it because of the durability. Because durability was fucking trash. But I think for illusionary walls, you should have hit them still, and then for the Ferris Lockstones, you approach the little thing, and then you hit the X button. You hit the interact button. I think that's how they should have done the Ferris Lockstone illusory walls. They should have flip flop how you did that, because the Ferris Lockstone is like a traditional illusory wall. You just hit it, and that's what happens. What else? Trying to think. The fragrant branches of yours are kind of a cool idea. These petrified statues, I kind of like that. I think that's kind of fun. This guy looks like a badass. He's gonna die like the rest of them. But he's gonna die like the rest of them. Get inside. Stop falling, please. Yeah, I think those are cool ideas. Those are unique ideas. I like how some doors can be broken down and some structures can be broken down. There's a lot of interactivity within the environment. I think that's cool and unique. Chill. Chill, Poppy, chill. I don't know. Like I said, I think it ultimately becomes a quality versus quantity thing. I think, you know, Dark Souls 2 is the story of Icarus. It just flew a little too close to the sun. I know they had a trouble development, you know, and maybe by the time they got into doing everything, it was just too much. You know, it would have been too much to change. Ooh. Oh, no. Oh, God. This guy hits like a motherfucker. You trying to fuck me? Damn. Imported hood +5. What else? I don't really know. What else really to talk about? We're coming on the 2-hour mark for the stream. I was going to stop at the 2-hour mark. My biggest issue with Dark Souls 2 is that it plays a little funky. It's just a little, you know, for all the clankiness and the jitteriness of Dark Souls 1 and Demon Souls, like, there's a baseline for that experience that once I get down pat, I'm good. It feels like the baseline for Dark Souls 2 is, it's unpredictable. Like, even when I was fighting Ava, and I was attacking her, I'd hit her, and then sometimes my damage would be like 220, let's just say, and then other times it was like 300. I'm like, okay, that's weird, and it's just, there's so many weird things about the game.
And one with just a well, oh yeah. So, ooh.
Oh my god, does this bitch not sell the item that I want? I want the fucking...
This, it.
I want your wings. Where do I get the butterfly wings? Whatever.
You get
Okay.
Nothing. Well.
So, all in all, I think Dark Souls 2 had some really, really, really great ideas. I think it kind of fucked with the execution. But alas, we are done with Dark Souls 2. And if you're listening to this, Tyler, you're about an hour too late. I already killed the Ivory King, so it took me like less than 10 tries. I had some incredible RNG. Like, I was having, yeah. That's why I went to New Game Plus. Yeah, I had some incredible RNG. I was getting super lucky. I think I did it with the hammer, too. My RNG was off the wall. It was just... I was getting there repeatedly with one night at, like, nearly full health. I was sailing through the gang fight with all the Charred Knights. So, and I think in my footage, the Liam Lois Knight survived till about half health, and then I did the rest of the fight. He was there for me for the majority of it, though. I'm dead serious. I'm not, like, after I beat him, I came and I leveled up, because I'm like, I'm done with this fucking game. I leveled up and everything. But I beat him at soul level 1. And then I went to New Game Plus because I don't give a fuck anymore about this game. But I'm 100% serious. Look, I got his Ultra Great Sword. Yeah, look, the Ivory King's Great Sword. Ultra Great Sword of the Ivory King of Liam Lois, wielded with both hands to realize his full strength. It is said that the Ivory King was once the highest ranking knight in his home of Ferosa, famed for its god of war. After taking his crown, they say he was the first to swing his sword in times of need, be it for his homeland or his people. So. I can't believe I missed it. Yeah. You missed like the last 3. You missed the Ludden-Zollin fight. You missed Blue Smelter. I don't know if you were there for Fume or Surlon. You missed Sin the Slumbering Dragon. Why didn't I say anything? Because I was doing my fucking post-run rant. It was the end of the game. It's the end of my SL1 run. And when I did it, I just didn't feel anything. I was like, it's over. It's done. I'm free. It's finally done. There's nothing more. It's over. Finitiae. So, yeah. You got all the crowns. You felt nothing? Not really. Crown of the Sunken King, Crown of the Old Iron King, Crown of the Ivory King. Bada bing, bada boom. Yeah, I don't know. So. But. That's it. I was afraid it was gonna take me both days. I was gonna play for 2 hours today and 2 hours tomorrow and 2 hours Friday, from like 8:30 to 10:30 every day, trying to beat it. But I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's done. It's over with. It's finitiae. So I get to put this to bed. 29 videos later, fucking, I don't know, on average 4 hours of video. This one was 2 hours, so do 4 times 28 and add 2, whatever that is. So, probably close to 50 hours. Yep. That's 3 under the belt. Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, and Dark Souls 2. All Bosses Must Die Edition. SL1. So, that's just the way it goes. All in all, if you really love these games, if you're just like a uber fan of them, fucking try it out. You know what I mean? If you get sucked into the Soulsborne universe, I say play them all. Play Demon Souls, play Dark Souls Trilogy, play Sekiro, play Bloodborne. If you can, play the original versions on PS3, just for the fucking lulz. If you can't, fucking throw up the graphic. Well, it's not fixed. It's the old one. I mean, email to you. Oh, helmet. With all the bosses dead? Like, even... Oh, yeah, you did. Look at that. Look at that. Damn. Homie had so much faith in me, he knew. Homie knew. So, yeah, that's it. So, 41 bosses later, and we are done. Fucking beautiful. Fucking beautiful. Well, I'm gonna go shower and go to bed. It's been real. Next Monday, Elden Ring Night Rain. And I have to decide if I want to start Dark Souls 3 yet or not. I really do want to play Dark Souls 3. I think if I beat in Burn Ivory King yesterday, I've been like, fuck yeah. But you know, it is what it is. So I almost wanted it to last 2 more videos, so it'd be an even 30. Now it's gonna be 29 fucking videos for this series, but whatever. Leave it to Dark Souls 2 to fuck everything up. Do you at least feel relief? Yeah, I'm fucking very relieved that I don't have to play this game on stream anymore. So, that's awesome. That's awesome. And for anyone that wants to do any of these challenges, for any Soul Level 1 challenge, all those souls don't matter because you can't level up. They do matter in the sense that you can buy equipment. So buy lots of items. You know, don't be afraid to look up some guides. Don't be afraid to like forge your own path either. You don't have to do what the guides say. Use whatever weapon you can or want. You know, do whatever you want to do. Cheese the bosses if you can. Don't cheese them if you can. Fucking go fist only if you want. Whatever you want to do. Biggest piece of advice I'd say is this: know where all the upgrade materials are, for whether it be for your flask or your weapons. I would have at least 3 weapons on hand that are maxed out. I would have a slashing weapon, a poking weapon, and a striking weapon. That way you have all 3 damage types. I'd have a bunch of resins on hand. I'd have all the rings on hand so you can swap them out depending on what you want to do. Be careful in Dark Souls 1 if you use the FAP ring. And just have a lot of patience. I don't think any boss was quite as hard as Manus. I don't know how many tries it took me for Burn Ivory King. Burn Ivory King was definitely the worst boss for Dark Souls 2. Out of all of them. Just because of the gank fight, I think. If it wasn't for the gank fight, it'd be really easy. But some notable contenders for really hard bosses in this game was Fume Knight, Surlon, Ava, Ludden Zolan, Sin the Slumbering Dragon. Alana wasn't that bad. She was really pretty chill, comparatively. I love how you did it. Yeah, you know, just... Listen, I thought it was going to be funny. I was waiting for you to freak out that I went to New Game Plus. I was like, he doesn't even know what I'm doing right now. So I was like, fuck it. He'll find out eventually. You just had me on in the background. Listen, you're not even paying attention. Why would I tell you? So... But alas, that's all she wrote. I want to go take a warm shower now, even though you were in New Plus. I literally went to the bonfire and joined it, and then I started talking about what the changes. How I know you... Because I literally sat at the bonfire, I hit begin journey +2, hit yes, and then I said, look at the changes that happen when you go to New Game Plus, when you begin the second journey. I started talking about the changes. No, I was literally playing it, so, but. But next week, we start playing Night Rain. True. But you might be a fake fan, but you're a good stream editor because you provide me all the overlays. Next week we'll tackle. We're gonna start playing Night Rain. I'm pretty excited for that, and I really. If I'm a simp, I don't care. But next week we'll. I kind of do want to start my Dark Souls 3 SL1. I don't know. I've been shitting on Dark Souls 2 for so long. I'm just kind of tired of shitting on it. I want to. I don't want to shit on Dark Souls 2 anymore. I've said my piece. I just want to. I just want to fucking. Your boy just wants to play Dark Souls 3 and Night Rain. So.
Are you or
I think that's what we're gonna do. Starting Monday, starting June.
He who made King
June 1st, June 2nd.
Bearer for
We're going to be tackling Night Rain on Mondays or Tuesdays, and then Dark Souls 3 on the other day.
Once you have found them, return
Exactly.
so that
Enough hate. It's time for love. It's time. I've been a hater for too long. Now, instead of hate, I want to love. It's time to love. And we're gonna simp. We're gonna fucking glaze the fuck out of and simp for Dark Souls 3. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna glaze the fuck out of and simp for Dark Souls 3. So, until next week, arrivederci. It's been real. And as always, fuck you, Dark Souls 2. Goodbye.